our dreamers.
It's a Wednesday, and here we are. It is Pride Month.
Pride Month, and we are here with the amazing Taylor Strecker.
Yes, we met Taylor a long time ago when you first got on Housewives, and we went on Taylor's radio show.
And she has her own podcast, Taste of Taylor.
She does. She has a Patreon radio show, a 2-hour radio show every day. She was on Sirius for a long time and was fired, literally fired. And that was a very hard hump for her to get over. And
their loss, our gain.
Exactly. And since then, she's risen like a phoenix from the flames and left a husband and fallen in love with a woman.
Yes. Another Taylor. So it's Taylor squared.
Taylor squared.
Taylor squared.
And we are so here for it because we love them both.
Yes. I mean, if you get a double dose of Taylor, you don't even know how excited it is.
Oh, they should have a show together, double dose of Taylor.
I'm telling you guys, I am so freaking tired. It's not even funny.
Oh,
but she's going to perk me up.
Yes.
Hey, Taylor.
Hi, Taylor.
Guys,
what's going on? So nice to see you.
You too. Thanks for having me. I'm honored.
Caviar Dreamers. I'm so excited. We're here with Taylor Strecker.
We are. We're very lucky. Thank you for dialing in from LA. We know you're a busy girl, jet setting all over.
I know.
Hi, guys. Hi. Hey, girls. Hey.
She's a superstar.
She is.
Has her own podcast.
That's right. Well, multiple now, because
yes.
you even have subscribers that listen now through Patreon also for a 2-hour daily show.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. I do all the talking. It's a lot of hours of talking. So the Taylor Strecker Show on Patreon. Yep. The Taylor Strecker Show, patreon.com/Taylor Strecker Show. That's Monday through Friday, 2 hours every single day. Rotation of co-hosts. It's so fun, but so much talking. And then
or is that live or pre-recorded?
So it used to be live, and then with the pandemic, we had to obviously do like pre-record. So I used to have 5 co-hosts, but during the pandemic, I was like, rather than one person for 2 hours, I'll do like 2 people for 1 hour. So now we went from 5 co-hosts to 10 co-hosts, but everyone's like regular. Everyone's like on their specific day, specific time. So it's no longer live, but it's still, we don't like edit. It's very much live to tape. So it's like the same vibe basically.
Oh, I absolutely love that. That's so good. So, I mean, we have a lot to talk about because you're a self-made woman. You've like changed your life over from where you started. You're engaged to like another Taylor who we absolutely love. And I mean, but you did start off being married to a man.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
I actually know someone from our area, but we're not going to talk about that. But it's just like, I mean, I just have so many questions because like you reinvented yourself from Sirius Radio, but I just have so much to unravel. So,
I mean, I'm an open book. You literally can ask me anything. I will never get offended. I am like verbal diarrhea. Go. I'll answer it all.
Go ahead.
I love, especially for you, that your comeback was definitely stronger than the setback. Because I remember when we first met, you told us about when your time at Sirius was over and you were like, and then my life was like, boom, 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 boom. And I was that resonates so much with me. So tell us about that part of your life.
Yes, because I'm sure that was like very upsetting because it's like you getting on Sirius Radio was like such a big fucking deal. And then it's like.
Yeah, totally. And also like, so I got on, the thing was I got on Sirius Radio like right out of college. Like I probably worked in advertising for like maybe 6 months. And then I got this like out of left field. My best friend, she's still at Sirius, Nicole Ryan. She's on Hits One. She was the receptionist at Sirius. So I got into Sirius through her. Somebody met me at a party that she brought me to. We were supposed to do the show together. And then she said something in like one of our auditions that like the editor-in-chief of Cosmo just like didn't like. And so like we were supposed to launch it together and then I ended up getting it and she didn't, whatever. She's fine now. She's on the morning Hits One morning mashup. But basically it kind of was like, I appreciate it because when I was younger, I did like theater and I sang and I acted. So I understood what it felt like to audition, but like this kind of was like fell in our lap, you know? So I was so appreciative, but I didn't have to work that hard to get it. And I could tell that there are people in the industry because radio is like kind of like stand-up comedy. You have to work really, really hard for many years, pull graveyard shifts, like deal with bullshit to get to the top. So I kind of like cut the line in a way.
Yes.
And so I feel like there are people that were probably like, she's so young, she's unappreciative, she doesn't deserve it. So I did like, sometimes I felt like I was on borrowed time already. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, of course. Well, you almost had like a guilt.
I did, and definite imposter
success
syndrome.
guilt, which is crazy. I know. Well, so many women, you did deserve that spot, but so many women, and men who are successful have imposter syndrome.
Totally. So I kind of felt like I was on borrowed time, but then I also felt like, well, I've always wanted to entertain. So like, I'm not surprised that I ended up in this spot. And then I also was like looking up to Howard Stern. So it's like, I saw both ends of the spectrum. Like I had the perspective that I was so lucky to be where I was, but then it was like, well, what's the next level? It's to be like Howard. But that's the thing too, when you kind of, I'm going to just say like, maybe cut the line, whether you mean to or not, in your career, is that it gives you a massive advantage in a certain direction. But at the same time, it also like, how do I explain this? It's like, it sets unrealistic goals, you know? Cause it was like,
it's scary also.
Yes. And it's like, you start off so high. So there's like, when you start off that high, that there's so much further to fall.
I agree.
Yes. And so I just remember feeling like I was destined like to like make what Howard made. But then it was like, when you start on Sirius and you're so young, like how
old were you? I just want to know how old you were.
I was 20. God, I think I was like 22 or 23.
Oh my God. That is so young. Jesus.
And to do a
right out of college
syndicated radio show. But the thing is, when you're in radio and you're syndicated, you're making motherfucking bank. But at Sirius, it was technically like free syndication. So it was like I was like in an industry that existed with completely brand new rules. So it looked like I was so successful, and it was like in terms of bragging rights and a resume builder, but financially, I mean, I was not, and trust me, it looked a lot more lucrative.
I know what you're saying. I understand.
And fabulous than it was. So it was a major setback, but in a crazy way, it was like, well, I was already at a ceiling financially at this company, and I was barely making six figures, barely in a morning radio slot. People think you're making millions.
I know. People are delusional. They think everybody's yes.
Totally. It couldn't be further from the truth. So in a way, like I was so ashamed to be fired. It was so public. It was so embarrassing. But at the same time, I was like, thank God they did what I didn't have the balls to do. I couldn't leave the facade, but when I did, it was like, and people are like, it's so amazing that you made more money. It was like, well, honey, like 1,000,000 times 0 is still 0. Like, I mean, I only had I had no place to go but up, thank God. So while it was really embarrassing and really, really hard, it forced me to be a business owner at a very young age. And, but
How long were you there for? How long were you there for?
I was there for about 11 years. So I was in my mid-30s.
A long time.
A really long run.
That's a big success though. But that's a long time to be anywhere.
Thank you. Thank you. But it's funny because I know that it was successful. I mean, that was a major gig to get, but I don't know. I think it's funny when life hands you these awful scenarios and you're like, this is the end. I can't believe it. I've worked so hard. And then you're in the new thing and you're like, thank God that happened. Cause I didn't even understand the potential I had in terms of financial independence and success potentially. And it was the greatest gift ever for me to stop working at Sirius, cause I would have stayed there forever.
Of course. I know.
And I think radio's like that. People do stay there forever.
They do. That's the thing with radio. There is longevity to it. But now that we're in this new world of podcasting, there is longevity. It just I think the world is so much better now for audio people because radio was limiting. There's only literally so many time slots in any given day and on any given channel. So, I mean, it was very very limiting. And then I feel basically, I don't know. I just kind of feel like anyone can do it now, but you're also, when it comes to podcasting, your own business owner to some degree. At radio, you're being plucked for a job that they need to fill the time slot for.
Yes.
And so there's no equity in it, essentially. It's you're an employee, whereas with podcasting, you're automatically a business partner in some capacity.
Yes.
Whatever the percentage split, you are somewhat equitably involved in that business. And that is so important.
So right after you left Sirius, how long did it take you to start your podcast?
So Sirius was going to have me contractually. They had me to non-compete for a year, which meant I couldn't do anything in the audio atmosphere for an entire year, which is you know what? If I quit, I understand that non-compete. But if you deem me not worthy or invaluable, get the fuck out of here with the non-compete. So luckily I had great lawyers. So we were able to take a 1-year non-compete down to like 3 months. So the second my non-compete was up, I was back on the radio waves. Cause like that was the hardest thing for me, was the interim between when I had to stay silent. I couldn't tell my side of the story. I couldn't even I couldn't say a word, because when you're in legal situations, you have to stay silent. You just
I've been in other legal situations, I know, and we can't tell your side of the story. It's very upsetting.
It is. So the second I was able to work again, I like hit the ground running, and I literally watched Moana every single day, like 10 times a day, like throughout those 3 months that I was like fired and couldn't talk. Like my fiance Taylor, she would be like, honey, you have to stop watching Moana. And then she would like go into the shower, and she would hear like, you know, hey, Moana. And she's like, she's watching it again. I can't believe it.
I will never not encourage watching Moana. She's the most fearless, badass babe ever. And Disney should make more movies like that.
You know what? I've only watched it once. Should I start watching it more?
Yeah, I've watched it 1,000 times because I have a lot of kids in the house. But yes, she is the best. That's inspirational though.
Right? I know. Well, it's like a movie it's about female empowerment. I needed all the Disney pure female empowerment I could get at that moment in time. But it was hard. I mean, I now in retrospect, I'm like, I was fine. It was 3 months, no big deal. I was so depressed. My Taylor reminds me of it, but like now it's a distant memory, but oh my God. I mean, I was like inconsolable.
Let me ask you a personal question. Was it harder to leave Sirius or your first marriage?
Oh my God. It was harder to leave Sirius.
I know it is. People don't realize, I think, how hard it is with women who have a big career, and you know, because you work so hard on building that up.
Yep. And you know what it was too? It was my identity.
It is. It becomes your identity.
Yeah, totally. My job was my identity. And also, to be fair, Sirius broke up with me, right? Sirius rejected me. Whereas I call him husband. After a few days after,
that's a great word, by the way.
Thank you. I was interviewing.
You have to trademark that.
I know, but the thing is, I was interviewing somebody at Sirius, and she had it in her book, and I was like, I'm going to steal this from you, but like I'm acknowledging it. And she was like, oh my God, please spread it around. But now I feel like I can't trademark it because, and I don't know how to get in touch with her. I like forgot her name.
Oh my God, the husband. I love that.
The husband. But basically, with him, I was the one that ultimately ended it, even though he came to me like a few days later and he said to me, thank you for doing what I didn't have the courage to do, which was like such an amazing thing to hear, because I knew like it was the best thing for both of us.
Yeah, for both of you.
But I do think because I ultimately chose to break up that was my decision to end it. I think that's probably why Sirius hurt more too. Because when you're rejected, it's like the worst feeling in the world when it's not your choice whatsoever, you know?
No, of course.
But more so it had to do with my identity. And also, let's not forget, I was like a newly divorced, freshly like out lesbian. I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to support myself? Like that was the scariest shit in the world. Because I remember when it came out to my parents, their number one concern was like financial stability. Mm-hmm. And I mean, this is really old school and kind of fucked up, but like my parents are the best and they adore Taylor and they're so happy that we're together. Like we're actually having our wedding at their house. Like they are so on board. They're the best. But, you know, when I first came out, I think they were worried because in their minds, it was like very heteronormative. Like mom stays at home and she raises the kid. Dad's a breadwinner. So it's like, well, who's going to support you if you're a lesbian, you know?
Oh, so cute. Who's going to support you?
But the sad thing is also, female salaries are low. There is like a lot of work still to do. So it isn't fair that two female salaries don't equate to a heteronormal salary package.
It's true.
Yeah, it is fucked up. It absolutely is. But there's also no guarantees in life that, you know, your husband, you know, if it was heteronormal, is always going to support you.
True.
I mean, I got divorced and I had to freaking pay alimony.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh my God. For some reason that makes me so mad. But like if a woman got alimony, I'd be like, totally deserved it. That's so
I know, exactly.
I shouldn't say that.
You know why it only made me mad is because I'm also 20 years younger.
Right.
And I was
double
like,
whammy.
this is totally fucked up. How did I get roped into this situation? You know, I was just like, I came from, you know, nothing. I married an older guy, you know, all this stuff. And then I get roped into the alimony, no less.
Unbelievable.
It is.
You worked the whole time.
Yeah, I worked the whole time we were married. I was like, I'm going to shoot myself right now. I mean, I swear. It's just like I feel like I get it from every angle. But, you know, that made sense. I mean, my business took off. He retired, and that's what it was. I mean, so what was I going to do? But it is what it is. It was fine. At the time, I could pay it.
Right.
So it was okay.
Which is also so badass too. Like you're such a boss bitch that your like older soon to be ex-husband is now like gonna like tap into your wallet because that's how well you're doing. I mean,
yeah, I know. I had quite a few good years. I mean, you know, then, and by the way, when I hit the skids a little bit for a little while, he took a break. Right?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. He did. Yeah, he was mad about it, and he was like, "All right, I'll take a break. I'll get you on the rebound. I'll get you on the upswing.
I'll see you on the flip side." Yeah, right.
I'll see you on the flip side. So tell me, like with the Taylor Strecker podcast, it's like, so when you were like trying, you know, going out there to build you up, were you just like, I'm just going to talk about everything I just really want to talk about? What kind of things did you want? I mean, obviously it's evolved and stuff like that. It's so great. I've been on your show and it's so interesting and you're just so raw and real. But just like when you were on there, were you like, has it changed from what you wanted it to be originally, or this is exactly what you wanted it to be?
So what happened was when I was at Sirius, so I originally started with Cosmo magazine radio, right? So obviously we were on brand, but they wanted, like, the host had to be living the brand. But I will say this, when we first started, Cosmo like kind of wanted it. They just didn't like fully get it. Like when you're in print, it's so controlled, and audio is so the opposite.
Yes.
And they were kind of like, no, like read the magazine. And we're like, guys, you come out with a magazine once a month. We're on for 4 hours, Monday through Friday. Like, that's not going to fly. Like, we're going to be done in like half the show. So they had to start really trusting us to like be living the brand. And so, but I mean, we would have like a lot of guests on. We would have like a lot of editors. So it was like heavily produced and like heavily branded. And I remember I had a co-host that was on with me, and she was like the fucking like Captain Know-It-All. It was like, and I'm like a total dummy. Like I have a ridiculously high emotional IQ. I'm like an emotional genius, but I am like, I don't know trivia. I don't know shit. I don't know geography. I don't know history. I barely know pop culture.
Yeah,
I always say
I'm very bad. I'm very bad with history myself. Horrible.
So she was always like, Taylor, that's wrong. And I was like, God damn it. And she was right. I was wrong. But I'm like, you're ruining my fun and my flow. Like, we're not here to be like,
she gets like correcting you on air. That's so
inappropriate. Jeopardy. Like, come on. So I was like, what can I talk about that she doesn't know better than me? And I was like, me. That's it, my life. So I started to really bring myself into the show just for survival, truthfully. And Cosmo at first was like, no. All she does is talk about herself.
But people liked it. That's what.
But then the audience really started to like it, and they were like, "Oh my God, she's like my best friend. Oh my God, she sounds like me, or she sounds like my mom." Or it was just like it became really relatable. And then Cosmo was so cool, and they were like, "We actually feel like you're representing us through like just living that Cosmo girl life." And so it really like that's when I kind of discovered it. And then I always just stuck to it because it just seemed to be what resonated with people. So I always joke. I always wanted to be on reality television and I didn't get on. So I just created reality radio. So that's like always been my tried and true, just like stick to that. And there's been times in life where maybe like things are like going really well or kind of easy. And I'm like, oh shit, I don't know if I can be relatable. And then some crazy shit will happen. Like I'll get a divorce and then I'll decide that I want to be in a same-sex relationship or what have you. And life just is always surprising and shocking and interesting. But like, so that's kind of been like what I feel like I really hit my stride with. And I just like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Play the hit. So it's just like, that's what I've kind of always maintained. But like who I am now is so different from who I was 5 or 7 years ago. But like the approach is still the same.
Yes, I know. Which
because
is so
you're authentic. You're authentic to who you are.
Thank you.
Someone hilarious and truly relatable.
Thank you. Well, I also learned when I was at with Cosmo, I remembered like I'm not like somebody who loves to talk about sex. It's just like not my thing. In retrospect, now maybe I just was like a closeted lesbian and just was like scared to talk about it. But ultimately, I remember one time I was interviewing the guy.
Cosmo's all about sex.
Oh, all about sex. I was literally on there like, blowjobs are terrible. Like, I hate penises. I'm like, I can't believe I kept my job. So there was this guy named, he's from, what's that movie? It's the one, Princess Bride. Carrie Elways, I think his name is.
What's his name?
Carrie Elways, I think.
Yeah, you will do when you see him.
And so we interviewed him, and Cosmo made me ask him this question about sex. And I didn't want to, but I had to. It was my job. And he was like, ugh, grow up. That's what he said to me. And I was like, oh my God. And I remember thinking, when you get in trouble for being you, at least you're like, well, that's me. But when you get in trouble for being something you're not, you're like, it's not even who I am. It's the worst feeling in the world.
It is. So yes, I agree.
Yeah.
So being authentic, it's actually self-protection. I think people are like, wow, it must be really hard to be so authentic and share all your deepest, darkest secrets. But it's that's actually, to me, easier. Because at least I know.
You're right.
Yeah.
Right?
I absolutely agree with you. It's like with my book, they're like, oh my God, how did that feel? Yeah, it was very therapeutic. But it's not like I had any shame or embarrassment. It was easier to share. I mean, it's painful to relive all that shit. But it's easier to share who you really are and pretend not to be someone else. That's a really hard job.
Well, and also my mom, I love her so much. She's my literal best friend, but she is I always say recovering perfectionist. So when I was brought up, I had to be perfect and good and nice. My dad's a doctor in town, you represent the family. And I'm a person, I'm flawed. And I felt it's exhausting to have to be perfect. It's exhausting to have to always be this certain image. And it's it is so, while it's scary to be yourself, it's so liberating because you don't have to think. You just are. You just exist. Having to play a character is, it's like creating a prison of your own making. Exactly. You know what I mean?
Did you feel like that? Do you mind me asking, in your first marriage, did you feel like you were playing a character, or you felt like you were your authentic self? And then it's just you grew into something, the real one.
I actually think that, I think that because of my job, God bless Cosmo Radio, God bless Kate White for giving me the opportunity. My job was me getting rid of those shackles of perfectionism. My mom used to call me after my show. I remember one time she called me and she was like, your little brother, who was 8 at the time, just asked if you were a sinner. And I was like, first of all.
Okay, that is the funniest shit I've ever heard.
I was like, first of all, you're a sinner for letting a child listen to Cosmo Magazine Radio.
Exactly.
Second of all, yeah, we're talking about blowjobs. It's my job. But I remember I fought with my mom so much. And I said, Mom, my job is not a report card for you. This is who I am. And if you don't want to listen to it, you don't have to listen to it. But you have such an unfair advantage over different other parents. No one gets as much access to their kids and their brain and their life. I have no privacy with you. But I loved my job so much that I fought so hard. And the hardest thing in the world was having my mom see me as a flawed person. So that was what liberated me. And then I just fell deeply in love with my job. And so by the time I met husband, I was like, I am not going to give up this job, which involved me having to be honest and filterless for anybody. So I actually kind of came in guns blazing into the relationship. And I think that's what he loved the most about me in the beginning.
Yeah, sure.
But it's definitely what killed us in the end. There's a million things, but that was definitely my vibe, my authenticity, my we'll say it like it is and truth tell did not mesh well in that
family. Oh yeah. I understand.
I was their worst nightmare.
And I'm sure it was so, but I'm sure it was so refreshing for him to be with someone like you.
I definitely think that that's what attracted him initially. It's I actually felt like I was him being with me was like an act of rebellion, on a lot of different levels. But I feel like I used to say to him, I'm your human shield. This is your way of saying oh, I don't want to be secretive. Cause look at how my wife is, but I'm but I'm in the middle.
Yeah. Look how my wife is.
Exactly.
So tell me, so then you meet Taylor, the fabulous Taylor, who we love so much. It's just so what was it about her? Because I'd love to hear a love story.
Yeah, and I think you guys have a similar situation because you were friends with Taylor first, right? And you both fell in love. Yeah,
it was a slow burn.
Slow burn. So I met her, I don't even know the year now, but I met her maybe 4 or 5 months before husband and I got separated, which was it wasn't a separation and then we'll see. It was separated to get a divorce and let's move this quickly along. Yes. So she was a new friend, and I was actually making a conscious decision to start creating my own friendships because him and I shared so much of our lives in our social scene, and I just wanted to Like when I cut, I want to cut and run, you know? So I was making like very deliberate decisions to start relationships with new people. So I met her through work. She was a videographer and photographer and editor, and I hired her because I had a blog and I did video. So that's how we met, and I had no idea she was gay, and I kept trying to set her up with husband's friends, which makes no sense because I was trying to break away from our like social scene, whatever. Yes. But I just thought she was so beautiful and cool and great, and I was like, I really want to like cultivate this new girl to be my friend, and our mutual friend was like, stop trying to set her up with men. She's a lesbian. And I was like, oh my God, like mortified that I did that. But then I was like, oh my God, I'm so cool. This is my first lesbian friend. Like I am so
This is my first lesbian friend.
And so we just became really close. And she actually, this is so wild. She came and stayed. So husband and I were at the Soho House in Miami for New Year's Eve, and he invited her to come stay with us.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, that is so crazy.
And it was like, you know, when you're in a relationship and you can't stand each other, so you're like constantly trying to be social to like, just like not be alone.
Yes. Yeah, not hang out just with each other.
We were there. So like she was over, Stassi was at our apartment shooting a video for my blog. Tay was there shooting it, and husband was there just like hanging out because it was a weekend. And we were talking about plans for the holidays, and Taylor Donahue was like, I'm going to be, because she was a nanny at the time. She was like, I'm going to be nannying and be down in this part of Florida. And husband was like, he was so friendly like that. He was like, oh my God, you should come for New Year's Eve and stay with us. And I was like looking at him like, I don't know her that well. Like, don't invite her, you know, like I would have to babysit this girl. She doesn't know anybody. So she ended up coming for the night and stayed in our room with us. It was so not a porn, but it sounds so scandalous.
Like such a porn. Wait, let me just ask you a question. So like now when you hear her version, was she like, oh my God, I was so into you, like you, Taylor?
So she said that the second she saw me walk in, like the first time we ever met, she had such a crush on me. But then she saw my ring and was like, oh, she is married to somebody. Yes. And so she said, she was like, oh, she's straight, she's married, like that's done. She had like a crush, whatever. So, but like, I'm telling you that when she was there for New Year's Eve, I was like, this bitch has such a crush on me. And I thought it was like so cute and endearing, but like we would go to the bathroom together and it was like packed. So, you know, like girls hold hands to like stay together.
Of course. Yeah. Lexi and I take showers together.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yes. Yeah. But there was the way she was holding my hand, I was like, she has a crush, but I thought it was like sweet and like mama still got it, you know? I mean, I was like, so no idea that like it would be anything ever there. And like, I remember she made out with some girl that night and I was like, oh my God, that's so nice. My lesbian friend found another lesbian to kiss.
Yes.
But like, I mean, it was like once husband and I were like separated, it was like, then it was so fast. It was like, I was spending all my time with her and her friends. And I had seen her like as a friend. It was just like one day it just snapped. It was so bizarre. And I remember just thinking, maybe I'm just like newly divorced or like newly separated, just like wanting to like be wild. And like, wouldn't it be fun to make out with a girl? Like she's like so sexy and I like her vibe, but I was just like, I just like want to make out with her once. I think it would be so fun. But like I had seen her kiss girls before as my friend. And I just thought that was sweet. But there was one time we were together and I saw her kiss this girl and I got insanely
jealous. Wow.
Ooh. Insanely. And like, listen, when I got separated, I was drunk like constantly. Mm-hmm. So then I was like, maybe you're just being a drunk person, you know, like wait on this. But then a couple more times it happened and I said to her, you know what, I actually have to tell you, like, I have a crush on you. I think we should like totally just make out. Wouldn't that be funsies? And she was like, no, you're straight and like in the middle of a separation and like I'm such a good friend to you and you rely on me so heavily now. And she's like, whenever I hook up with girls, I lose interest immediately. So like, I think it's a terrible idea. And she's like, also, I don't want to be like your experiment. Like our relationship is deeper than that. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. And then like a few weeks later, we were on a work trip together. And at that point I had just like, let it go. Like, I'm embarrassed, but like, whatever. Let's just be friends. Yeah. And then she was like, you know what? I've actually had a crush on you forever. And I just pushed my feelings aside. But like, I really do want to pursue this, but like, I can't just like hook up with you. Like, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And I'm like, I am literally getting a divorce. I am like, I'm not going to like, we're in a relationship. Like the joke, it's like, what do lesbians bring to the second date? A U-Haul? Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my God. I was like,
that that too. But I was like, oh my God, like, am I like getting out of a marriage and getting into a same-sex relationship? But I was just so smitten with her that I was like, yes, let's like do this.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. But I never thought it would go to this level. I mean, like almost 6 years later, and we're getting married. Like,
I know, which I'm so excited. You guys are a great couple. My Joe is obviously obsessed with both of you. He's always like, when are the Taylors coming over? When are the Taylors coming over? I love him so I know. He was like, literally, I mean, he hung on the two of you that whole night.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, I love him. The feeling is very mutual. We adore you guys. Oh my God.
We had such a good time. So I mean, the whole thing is just so magical. I just love it. I mean, but you never saw your life like this. So I just love it. But I think it's what's so inspiring to so many people. And that's why I wanted you on the podcast, besides the fact that it's also Pride Month. So that's why you had to kick it off for us.
Yes, honey. Oh my God. Wave that rainbow flag.
Yes, exactly. Wave that rainbow flag. But it's just like, so where do you see? Do you see like you writing a book? Like what's next for Taylor Strecker? Because you've done so much in your career.
Thank you.
I mean,
what's next?
So much.
God.
Or just like, where do you see yourself 5 years? I mean, not that you have to do anything more because you've done so much.
Well, I want to be richer.
Yes. I mean, who doesn't want to be richer? That's what I always say.
Like
it's not about the fame. I like the money.
Yeah,
totally. The thing I love about like audio podcasting radio is the longevity. So like a Howard Stern, honestly, even like Delilah, which is like such an obscure reference, but it's like, what a fucking career. Like, I just want to have that longevity. And like, even Tay and I've talked about, like, she's like, do you want to like host a TV show, like a talk show, like an Ellen or like a Kelly or, Kelly Clarkson? And I'm like, I do, but like when I've done on camera work, like hosting, I don't know. I think I can do it. I'm a good host. I hosted Youngers. I hosted Youngers after show forever, but like, I just fucking thrive with audio. I like love it. So like, I just want to figure out a way to like keep the audio going long-term and just like, honestly find a way to make more money with it. And then when it comes to writing a book, everyone always asks me about that. You know what I want to do? This is what I want to do. I want to write a book, but it's like, and you know how hard it is to write a book. You just did it. Like, I don't think I'm actually a good enough writer to write a book. Like, I could see it as like a series. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
So write a book. Like, I would write a book to make it a TV show. Like, that would be like, and I would just like, I'm kind of like wanting to move into like the business producing side of this industry too. Not that I want to ever fully leave the talent side, but like, I just feel like I just like see myself like in the next 5 years, like moving more into that like side of the business too. I don't know.
No, I like that side too. I always like to think of ideas and this would be great and this would look amazing. I understand that because listen, podcasting, you are behind the scenes. You're thinking of concepts and like people coming on and different guests and things like that.
And we're naturally bossy people.
Yeah, we're all bossy bitches. That's what I say.
Totally. Yeah, I need more people to boss around. That's what I want in the next 5 years.
Exactly. Like, you want people to boss around. That's We have 3 questions. We ask this to everybody who comes on because we say we're entrepreneur real. What is your most real piece of advice? Like for anybody starting a podcast, doing anything, the most real piece of advice, entrepreneur real.
Okay. It's just be real, be authentic. Like, don't try to be what you think you're supposed to be or try to be somebody else. Because even if it works for a little bit, it ultimately, you can't sustain like the facade for very long. So whatever you do it because it's like intrinsic to you or authentic to you. And also now consumers, they can sniff bullshit. So that's my biggest piece of advice. Keep it real.
No, I think that's so good. That's why I say that a lot. Yes.
Yeah. So we always say the secret to the largest success is 50% determination to 50% delusion. What would you say your percentages measure up to?
Oh my God. I need more delusion. I am such a worry wart. I'm always so scared and like thinking about the worst case scenario. And I swear to God, anytime I haven't like things haven't popped off or I felt like left behind, it's because I'm lacking delusion. So I'm probably I'm like 95% determined and 5% delusional, but I think I'd be more successful if I was a little bit more delusional.
Okay. Well, you've been very successful, but maybe we'll up the delusion factor because I said, if I don't believe my own hype, who will?
True story.
Yes. So true.
Right? It's so true. Right? True. Okay. So what was which I think I know it's going to be, but because you told us, but
you've had a lot.
You've had a lot of big girl panty moments, but what was you feel like your biggest big girl panty moment? You're like, how am I going to fucking do this?
Coming out on my radio show.
Ooh.
Yep. Harder than getting a divorce, harder than getting fired, harder than starting my own business. And also it was something that like I had planned and thought about doing for so long because I was with Taylor for like about a year before my audience knew. So,
wow.
And I'm not a secret keeper. So for me, like a whole year of, and like that was like me coming out to friends, to family, and my audience was the last. But I remember thinking, the only thing that can ruin my career is me not being me. And this is like, I hated having that secret. So I was so excited. It was such a relief. I was anticipating to like come out on the air. And the second I did it, I burst into tears and said that was the biggest mistake of my life. I should have never told anybody. It's private. I should have never come out. And it was like really, it was coming out is so fucking scary. However, once you get over the hump, then it's like, and then I started getting an outpouring of love and it was like so great. But like hands down, that was like the scariest thing. And to anybody, if you're listening and you are somebody that's maybe LGBTQ plus and you're like working up the courage to come out, I can promise you it will be hard. But once you do it, and it doesn't resolve itself immediately, but like once you do that, you can do anything, truly anything.
Oh, I love that. That's such a great story. That's really so true. And what a way to kick off June. Right? It's such a good month. I love that. Thank you for that. Tell everybody where they could find the amazing Taylor Strecker.
Thank you, dolls. Okay, follow me at Taylor Strecker on Instagram. And then definitely check out Taste of Taylor. It's my podcast with Dear Media. Every Thursday it comes out. It's free $99. And then my Patreon show, patreon.com/The Taylor Strecker Show. It's like a daily talk show. I highly recommend. Cup of coffee, like for the whole month. Just saying. That's how much it is.
That's so good. I know. And Starbucks is such a ripoff every day.
Jesus.
Even though I love it, I'm addicted. But that's what I'm saying. So you are a bargain and it's so much more satisfying. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Right. Starbucks, you get like what? It's like 7 minutes. It goes in, it comes out in one area or the other. You pee it
out, you get your buzz. You're like, I mean, a buzz every day, all day. So I love it.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so grateful. This was so refreshing, energetic. I just adore you.
Oh, same. I love you guys so much.
Thank you so much. And you're so adorable. Look at you. Yes. Just your smile. Everything's so infectious.
I will love you guys. Thank you so much.
She's a superstar, empowering female. She's just the best.
I can't tell you how much I love it. Her energy is infectious. And I love hearing all her real stories of all the, honest, brutal moments that she's had to go through. But there was one thing that really stuck out to me is that, especially coming out publicly, like she felt so comfortable to come out to people she knows. It's so sad that, as we're celebrating Pride Month, that you still have to be nervous for your listener base to come out in a public forum. Like it could still affect your career.
That upsets me still.
It upsets me.
That is upsetting.
And I think it's so important that, especially through the month of June, that we do be cognizant of those things, because
and of people's feelings we haven't come far enough. Yes, there's still so far to go. And that she said, and it is true, even though it's such a big hump to get over and it's the hardest thing you'll ever do, well, guess what? Then you'll be able to do anything.
That was very
and
inspiring.
that is so inspiring, and I just love her.
And I do. I really love it. I have the best time with her. I think she's so funny. I fell in love with her the first time we went on her show.
When we went on her show, but everybody should really listen to her podcast.
Yes, you will laugh. So many good stories.
I know. Well, Caviar Dreamers, I hope you enjoyed that, are inspired, and kicking off Pride. So happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month.
Oh God, I look like real shit. I look really tired. I didn't sleep well last night. Just everybody knows. If I'm low on energy today, it's because I got up at 2 a.m. because Joe, I don't know, was reading in bed and the lights were on, and then I couldn't fall back to sleep. So I was looking online to shop all night, and there wasn't anything I wanted.
This is terrible. We got to get some shopping done for the summer.
I'm
now
so
we
tired.
Can get out of the house. We need some outfits.
I know. I need some outfits, people.
Well, if you have any suggestions on outfits that Marge should be wearing this season,
send some in.
You could DM us at Caviar Dreams Tuna Fish Budge on Instagram. You can listen to the podcast every Wednesday, everywhere you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple, Amazon, they're everywhere these days. And follow us at The Real Margaret Josephs and The Life of Mrs. B.
Yes. And keep dreaming, caviar dreamers.
No one